Can anybody celebrate that you're safe? Come on, don't fool me. Can anybody celebrate that you're safe? What an awesome God we serve. The angels bow before him, and heaven and earth adores him. He is mighty, and he is our God who keeps us, sustains us, and continues to show us how great he is, and for that he is greatly to be praised. Anybody glad to be alive today? Come on, don't fool me. Anybody glad to be alive today? Anybody glad to be in church today? Anybody come to celebrate a great and amazing God today? Anybody blessed? Come on, if you're blessed, show some signs that you're blessed. Just look at somebody on your right, your left, say, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. And because I'm blessed, I ought to give God praise. Because I'm blessed, I ought to give him worship. We serve a great God, and a great God deserves a great, great, great praise. I am honored and elated to stand today to be with you, Elmwood, to celebrate my sister, my friend, Pastor Maria Crompton. Come on, can we celebrate? Come on, we can do better than that. Come on, we can do better than that. Come on, let's celebrate God for 12 years of faithful leadership. Faithful leadership to this church and faithful leadership to the Lord. We celebrate her, and you've already kind of heard what our relationship is like. You kind of heard. It kind of was through the grapevine a little bit earlier as it was shared, and what was said today is probably 10% of my sentiments that I share in love and affection for her. She is one of my closest friends who is in the vaulted family, and that just means we know things about each other we'll take to the grave. Yep. And it also means that I'll hurt a Negro for her too. Yep, I sure will. That's how much I love her. And I told her affectionately today, and I mean it, there's no other place I would rather be today than with her, to celebrate with her on 12 years of effective, faithful ministry to this congregation. Elmwood, you are blessed. You are so richly blessed. You are, yeah, I know y'all know, I'm just telling y'all. Y'all are richly blessed. And I'm going to say this. Many of you know Pastor Maria, but I know Maria, right? And sometimes the pastor person isn't the same as the person behind the pastor. But you have a gift of a person in your pastor. And every time you get a chance to celebrate her, take it, because she is worthy of double honor for all that she does and for who she is. I got a little worried when the mathematician stuff started coming out. I said, this sounds so long, it sounds like retirement's on the way. At a certain point, I was like, stop counting, you ain't helping. But I am just so blessed, and I want to take the time today. I really do. I want to take the time today. And so I know you've already done it. But can we stand all over the sanctuary and with the best affection and love, can you show your pastor how grateful you are to her? I'm going to make an executive decision. She don't like surprises, but I don't care. I'm going to make an executive decision that next year on her anniversary, we wear I Love My Pastor shirts. All right. So whoever need to put that in the works, y'all hit me up. I ain't scared of her. All right. Y'all, we do that all month. We do I Love My Church, but on the fourth Sunday, we're going to do I Love My Pastor. Can we do that? Amen. Amen. All right, while y'all standing, Lamentations chapter 3. Lamentations chapter 3. I'm going to start the reading at verse number 21 and read to and through the conclusion of verse number 26. Today, and while you're finding it, Pastor Crompton is a crowd favorite of my church. So when they find out that I am out today preaching here, I'm going to get all the passes. I went to my first service this morning just to check in, and because they love her so much, they looked at me and say, "What you doing here?" I'm like, "I can't even come to my church." Yeah, they go on over there. I'm like, all right. Lamentations chapter 3. I want to anchor in on your theme that Pastor Crompton shared with me for today, and anchor in there for our time of sharing today. And if the sound man can give me a little more help in this monitor over here, because I feel like acting up today. All right. Lamentations 3, 21 through 26. Herein lies the word of the Lord. I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version. But this I call to my mind, therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul that seeks him. It is good that one should wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. For a few moments today, I want to tag this text and preach from the theme, A Faithful God for a Faithful Journey. You may be seated even in the presence of the Lord. A faithful God for a faithful journey. Pastoring isn't easy. The pastoral journey is a lonely road where oftentimes the expectations are high while the support can be limited. Oftentimes the pastoral load of caring for and feeding God's people can leave the pastor empty, burnt out, trying to figure out how to make life and ministry work through the balancing act of hardship and joy. Pastoring is a lonely journey. Jeremiah, when we approach our focal text today, is dealing with what it means to be able to balance ministry and misery. Because sometimes ministry can call us to misery. Following God isn't always easy, Because sometimes following God means being boxed in to situations and circumstances that don't look much like God. The reality is that the circumstances we deal with oftentimes seem like punishment while we are pursuing what should be our purpose. Pastoring ain't easy. Jeremiah is dealing with this situation as Lamentations chapter 3 opens up. As a matter of fact, what he has to say about God isn't kind. He says, God, I feel like you've boxed me in. You have shown your dislike to me. You have put me in a place where enjoyment isn't part of the journey. Every time I turn around, it seems like you are a bear or a lion trying to hunt me down. Jeremiah says, I'm having a hard time understanding how I am called to a work, but dealing with such warfare. How is it, God, that I can be in the center of your will, but still deal with affliction, adversity, calamity, destruction, issues, and circumstances on every hand? And if the reality be told, you, like I, find yourself in those very conversations with God. God, how is it that I can be doing your will, doing your work, seemingly trying to live upright, doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, and every time I turn around, it seems like I keep catching hell? The reality is we are living in a low season. Low seasons all around us. If it is not enough that the low seasons of life that we personally deal with, some dealing with family issues, some dealing with financial issues, some dealing with health challenges, others dealing with their own personal things that are going on the inside, we are living in complete hell in our world. Morale is low in our country. If we can be honest, to those of us who have been twice kissed by nature's sun and have melanin in our blood, we are trying to figure out how in the world we got into this mess we call the United States of America. How it is that a party on both sides can have such dividing agendas, but seem like the black agenda is nowhere on their radar. How is it that government workers can't get paid for going to work, but you can fund a new ballroom that folk won't even be able to party in? How is it that SNAP benefits won't be available on November 1st, but the Congress and the president can still eat? How is it that we live in this society where the rich keep getting richer on the backs of the poor, keep getting poorer? And the question is, God, where are you in all of this? Where are you when folk who are on the list to get help can't get help, while folk who are living destructive and distracting lives keep seemingly getting further and further ahead? God, where is the message of hope? And can I suggest to you that we are living in tough times? We are living in such tough times that on days like today, where we ought to be celebrating, some folk are trying to figure out how you can muster up the strength to have a celebration when everything in your life looks like it's falling apart. Jeremiah says, I'm afflicted. He says, I'm dealing with health challenges and financial issues. And can I suggest to somebody who's sitting in this place we call sanctuary, you are not alone. You can look to your left and your right, though someone looks like they are doing good, they are dealing with some stuff in their life that you can't see. All of us gather in this place called sanctuary, bringing our issues to church, which is why we ought to learn how to be nice to one another. Because you don't know the affliction that your neighbor brought to church with them. Yeah, they seem like they looking good, hair fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Wig on straight, you ain't see nothing underneath of it. Haircut looking nice, beard shaped up, but underneath of the surface, they are saying, God, I have one more chance at this thing called life, and I just might lose it. And can I suggest to somebody, if that's where you find yourself today, you pulled up to the right church. Some folk afflicted. Some folk dealing with adversity. Jeremiah says, I've been imprisoned, mistreated by the government officials of the day, robbed of my freedom, all at the hands of God. Because can I suggest to somebody today, sometimes God can lead you in the middle of a mess. See, we can deal with blaming our issues on the devil, but what happens when God is the author of your adversity? What happens when you can't rebuke the devil and it go away? That's where Jeremiah says he finds himself. He says, I find myself dealing with the adversity that has been assigned to me by God. Afflicted, dealing with adversity, but then he says, I've been alienated. All my friends walked away. Can I suggest to some of us in church today, we are dealing with the issue of frenemies. You know, frenemy. The folk that smile in your face and always want to take your place. Frenemies. The folk who you tell your secrets to. And as soon as you get off the phone, they dialing the next Negro. You won't believe what I just heard. And before you know it, all your business out in the street. Frenemies. The folk who you introduced to your man, and before you knew it, they were sending DMs and text messages trying to get the Negro or Negrette that you thought was for you. Frenemies. Alienation. The folk that you trusted. And can I tell you, some of y'all dealing with famine-emies. Folk who in your family who pull up to your table but talk behind your back. Some folk you trying to figure out whether you're going to give them an invitation to Thanksgiving dinner or not. You know the folk you still mad at from the cookout 1992. Can't remember why y'all upset with each other. All you know is you were drinking too much. They were drinking too much, and it almost became a fist battle. All of us deal with alienation. And some of y'all saying, Pastor, I don't deal with it. I know you deal with it. You know how I know? Because you can't trust nobody. That's why you walk around with the burdens of life that you have heavy on your shoulders, because you've been so hurt by people you don't know who you can trust. Jeremiah says, I've been afflicted, dealing with adversity and alienation, and that's a reason to quit. Can I suggest to somebody today, if you look at your circumstances, You have a license to give up. Oh, yeah. If you consider the fact that you got more bills than you have bank, you have a reason to give up. If you've been going to the doctors more than you've been enjoying the spa, you've got a reason to give up. But can I tell you, before you turn in the resignation from your circumstances, let me give you some hope. Jeremiah says, in the midst of my circumstances, I can celebrate a faithful God for a faithful journey. The question is, what does Jeremiah celebrate about God? Number one, Jeremiah celebrates the loyalty of his love. Jeremiah says, this I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. He says the loyalty of God's love, his steadfast love, never ceases. Jeremiah says, I remember the loyalty of his love when I remember who God is. Can I suggest to you, maybe if you spend more time thinking about your God than you do your circumstances, you will reflect more about God's goodness than you will the intensity of the problem. He says the loyalty of his love. Now, let me tell you how loyal God's love is. I told you Judah is under affliction that has been ordered by God. Yet God loves Judah so much that every time God punishes Judah, he relents on the punishment when he shows his love and compassion to them. Okay, let me break it down. Here's what I'm suggesting. God sends us to time out. And then when we get to the corner, though we are supposed to serve an hour in time out, when he sees our face after 10 minutes, he takes us out of time out because he loves us too much to see us suffer in the corner. That's the loyalty of his love. That when you got yourself in trouble with God, God still had compassion on you to take you out of the trouble you caused for yourself. Oh, somebody can testify in this church today that when you look back over your life and you see the ditches you dug for your own self, and you look at the fact that the stuff that should have killed you, God stepped in and made a way out of no way. That's the loyalty of his love. Somebody ought to help me preach today and just push your neighbor, just say, neighbor, when I got myself in the messes of my life, I'm so glad God stepped in and made a way out of no way. That's the only reason why I'm in church today on a Sunday morning with my hands lifted up and my mouth filled with praise. It's because God protected me. See, some of us want to talk about the enemy, but can I talk about the inner me? The stuff I got my own self in, that God stepped in and made a way out of no way. That's the loyalty of his love. That when I deserve to be condemned, God showed up with grace. That's why nobody in church should ever have a praise problem. That's why we should never have to beg you to praise God. Because when you think about the goodness of Jesus and all he's done for you, you shouldn't even be sitting up in church on a Sunday morning with your hands lifted up and your mouth filled with praise, it's only because of the loyalty of his love. Hey, just look at somebody and say, neighbor, I don't know about you, but I'm so glad I made it to church this morning, because there were some Sundays I was just recovering from Saturday night, but I thank God for the loyalty of his love, that his grace met me and made a way out of no way. The loyalty of his love. Jeremiah celebrates a faithful God for a faithful journey when he reflects on the loyalty of his love. But then Jeremiah celebrates a faithful God for a faithful journey when he reflects on the limitlessness of his love. Jeremiah says, God doesn't just show me his love in the fact that God pulls me out of the punishment I deserve. He says he also shows me the limitlessness of his love by what he gives me every day. Hope y'all don't miss it in the text. Jeremiah says, morning by morning, new mercies I see. Oh, here's how I'll break it down for you. For every daily mess up, there is a new mercy. Now see, that don't mean much to perfect people. Perfect people can't celebrate mercy. You know, because you woke yourself up this morning. You put your own clothes on. You drove yourself to church. But can I tell you, somebody had an alarm clock set this morning. And when it went off, they didn't get up. Somebody tried to get out the bed this morning, but couldn't put feet to the floor. And can I suggest to you, somebody could have ran your car off the road this morning. That's the limitlessness of his mercy. That every morning there's a new mercy. Now, let me not take for granted the fact that everybody in church knows what mercy is. Now, I know you get capable and competent preaching every Sunday. I know it, and you do too. But can I suggest sometimes we have seekers in church. This their first time here, and they just shaking their head, trying to be incognito like we are. They may not know what mercy is. See, mercy is the fraternal twin of grace. Born together, don't exactly look the same. Grace is God giving me what I don't deserve. Mercy is God withholding from me what I do deserve. And every morning I wake up with something I don't deserve. Hey, see, some of y'all in church can't celebrate mercy because you trying to be cute with your neighbor. I'm at home. I know. Some of y'all, like some of my folk, wear these church masks in church. You know, trying to act like you got it all together. For folk who you sit next to that's more a mess than you. Just look at your neighbor and say, take that mask off. Because if we played your life on the screen in Elmwood today, you'd run out this church. So just look at somebody and say, come on, I know you have. Come on, look at him and say, I know you have some real life stories. Somebody's in the closet that's still alive. But I thank God for mercy. See, mercy shows up even when folk write me off. Okay. Let me slow walk it for a second. A few years ago, when I first got to New Hope, it wasn't my first pastorate, so some of the stuff that I was put in the corner to make decisions about, because it wasn't my first rodeo, I was nuck if you buck. Don't you talk to me nicely now, And one of the young ladies in our congregation got pregnant and wasn't married, as if pregnancy is a sin. Let me just help y'all today. Pregnancy isn't the sin. The sin is the act that happened outside of the covenant that led to the pregnancy. They said, Pastor, we need to sit her down because she's pregnant. And I looked at them Negroes. I ain't lying. I said, this gonna be the quickest entry and exit ever known to a pastor. I just got to New Jersey, they about to kick me out. I looked at him and said, I'll sit her down if everybody else who has sin on the sin debt resume sits down too. No ushers, no deacons, no trustees, no choir, no pastor. I was clear. No pastor either. All of us stand in need of the same mercy. So stop looking at your neighbor with that tone of voice and celebrate the fact that all of us woke up with the same mercy. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. Oh, can I talk to somebody and tell you why I celebrate God? Because I celebrate the God of another mercy. See, some of y'all celebrate the God of a second mercy. I blew my second mercy a long time ago. Blew my third mercy, my fourth mercy, I'm off count on how many mercies I've blown. But thank God every morning I wake up, there's a nightstand mercy. Every time I get up, there's a new mercy for every yesterday's mess up. That's the limitlessness of his love. As a matter of fact, can I teach for a second to tell you that's why the church ought to stop saying folk fell from grace. Y'all heard it before. When folks say she fell from grace, if she or he fell from grace, it's not an indictment against the sinner. It's an indictment against the God who can't hold the sinner up. Now unto him who is able to keep us from falling and present us faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding great joy. High five your neighbor, just say, neighbor, I celebrate his mercy because his mercy is still holding me up. The loyalty of his love. The limitlessness of his love. But then the third attribute of a faithful God for a faithful journey is the light of his love. And that's really what I came to preach to my sister about today. The light of his love. Jeremiah says, I have hope. Now, the question is, Jeremiah, how can you have hope despite the hell? Ooh, okay. You know, because I know I'm at home and because I know what the day is, I'm going to target preach, which means I'm going to be applicable to the assignment and not worry about the response. Y'all going to love me regardless. You know, pastoring is hell. It is. It is. I mean, I thought about it this week, and I ain't even trauma dumping. I'm just saying what she can't say. That's why she brought me here today. She know I'm going to say what she can't say. And she know I ain't scared to say it. Pastoring is hell when the folk you help are the first ones to walk out the door. Pastoring is hell when you know how folks' family are, yet they pick your family apart. Pastoring is hell when you know what's going on in their bedroom and they critiquing what's going on in your life. Because you got to be nice when you want to clap back. I mean, sometimes I'm right on the edge of telling them folk where they can go and how they can get there. Yep. I ain't talking about y'all, I'm talking about y'all cousins. And here's what I'm trying to suggest. Every moment that your pastor has to celebrate hope, allow her to have it. They ought to be, Tony said, she said, we're going to celebrate the day, right? We're going to celebrate the day. We get one day a year, and I'm thinking, why? Why you wait till the one day a year when you've been loading her down for all the other Sundays? You can find creative ways to celebrate her. They ain't got to be a surprise. I tell you the surprise is we don't mind. Put something in her hand. Give a card, write a note, send an email, stop complaining. That's something you can do. You want to encourage her? Stop bringing other folks' complaints and tell them you bad enough to think and say it. I know I'm preaching. You know why? Because the folk who tell you go tell her too scared to tell her they self. Find ways to help her have hope. Because every time we close a casket on a faithful member, it hurts. Every time we stand with a family and then the family walks out of the church and act like we never did anything for them, it hurts. When you showing up and folks sending you emails because they don't like what you preach as if you pick what you preach. I'm the mailman. I ain't the creator. Just look at your neighbor and say, you don't like it, take it up with God, send him an email. Hope. I'm trying. Hope. And today, I hope that by the end of the day, she has enough hope until the next celebration. Hope to keep on preaching when preaching is becoming an endangered species. When folk want to hear TED Talks but don't want to hear sermons. Hope when the government shuts down and the church offerings are declining, but we're still trying to figure out how we're going to keep on feeding folk, though folk won't give. Hope. Hope that you keep on raising your family when folk in church keep talking nasty to your kids. Hope. It takes a lot of hope for this journey. And can I suggest to you, God gives all of us hope. That's the only reason why we're in church today, because we serve a hoping God. Jeremiah says, I've got hope. Here's how I have hope. I have hope because I've learned how to wait on him. And let me just close by saying, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They'll mount up on wings like eagles. They'll run and not get weary. They'll walk and not faint. Anybody got hope today? Oh, just help me close the message and look at somebody, just say, neighbor, I've got hope. Talk to somebody else, say, I've got hope. And you've got hope too. Despite what happens in the world, God is still able. And he can still make a way out of no way. So don't wait till the battle is over. I dare somebody celebrate right now. Lift your hands right now. Give him glory right now. Open up your mouth and celebrate right now. I've got hope. Just look at Pastor Crompton and say, hope. Come on, hope. Hope. Hope.